Oh, I didn't notice Team Falcons joined StarCraft 2. ESWC signings are saving that Korean scene. Yeah, sorry, I guess that's what I'm referring to, is that yeah, quite a number of teams have picked up like individual StarCraft players here and there. Unfortunately, not all Koreans have a team though, as we're getting into spawning in the bottom left hand corner of our Gyeone. We have our South Korean Terran player, the Red Terran, representing Team Falcons. It is Bunny. And spawning in the top right hand corner, a player that I was referring to. He's an amazing Protoss player, a South Korean Protoss, but he is teamless, one of the few Koreans left without a team. Deserving to be on one though, it is NightMare. To be fair, as of relatively recently, NightMare was on Matcherino. For those who were maybe unaware, NightMare was on Matcherino esports for quite some time, was competing for them in the last season of World Team League. But Matcherino did actually cut their StarCraft roster quite a bit. Matcherino, they didn't just let go of NightMare, they also let go of Estrella. They let go of both NightMare and Estrella, and Matcherino, they didn't pick up other players, which is unfortunate. That is why Matcherino, I believe, did not compete in WTL qualifiers this season, so looks like they might be stepping away a little bit from their StarCraft roster. They're still supporting Future, at least. They're still supporting Future. They're still supporting Qualifier as well. But as a result of that, NightMare is left in the wind, and NightMare, he's definitely deserving to be on a team. So I do hope that he is picked up in the lead up to Gamers 8, to the Esports World Cup, because he is definitely deserving to be on a team and deserving to be supported 100%. As behind this, it is going to be an economic opener out of Bunny, going for a Rax expand. So very economic start here from our Terran player. Meanwhile, standard opener out of NightMare, going for a gate expand into Cybercore. Everything looking as it should. Ooh, as we ease our way into Alkione once again. Just catching up. Just catching up with the chat. So you have a bit of downtime. Bunny is the better version of Hero Marine at the moment, I would say, but so much smaller. I mean, you can't get much bigger than Big Gabe. Can't get much bigger. I'm still lamenting over, I know we were just talking about WTL, and we'll stop, I promise. But I'm still lamenting over the fact that we didn't have a partnership with Mouse Esports and Big, like Berlin International Gaming. It would have been so fitting for Gabe to be on Team Big, or like Big Mouse. Like Big Mouse just sounds like an amazing team. Like I'm just saying. Like they're both German teams as well. Like they would have done well together in WTL. Maybe next season. Fingers crossed. I just want Gabe on Big. Okay, that's all I want. Even if it's a partnership. As behind this, we do see our tech of choice, NightMare going for a Stargate opener into Phoenixes. Okay, we have our tech here. Meanwhile, Bunny, as he was shut down in the middle of the map, he did scout, thankfully. He did check that wall, did check the Reaper Cliff, and he did confirm the Phoenix production. Bunny's fully aware, back at home, getting into his 1-1-1. Interesting, leading into his 3-1-1 setup here with 2 more Raxes. Going for a safety Cyclone. Because we scouted the Phoenix, we know to make a safety Cyclone at least, as we are not getting into Vikings. Okay, just a Cyclone initially, and some Marines to hold on. Now, this is all going to be about positioning for Bunny, as he does move out with 5 Marines. Oh, I assumed he was going to try to fight for control of the Zonaga, but no, he's trying to get in position to try to intercept that Phoenix. We'll see if he can. Speaking of, Phoenixes are amassing back at home. There we go. Now we're moving on with 3. Phoenixes are pushing. NightMare just being safe, amassing them. As a result, doesn't get caught out of the map. Bunny splitting up his Marines. He's ready here in the natural. In the main base, he's a little bit more exposed. Does have 1 Cyclone and 2 Marines here on the outskirts of his main. But if NightMare did push in, he could pick Bunny apart. As we can see though, NightMare is still a little bit more concerned with shutting down drop play. Thankfully for Bunny, he's not going for drop play. He's going for more add-ons, rushing into stim quite quickly actually. Okay. Much faster stim here from Bunny. Avoiding a Widowmine drop, for example, avoiding any kind of scouting. The only scout was the Reaper. There's no drop play, and that's really a big reason why we do go for drop play to begin with. Whether it's committed with Widow Mines or only a handful of them, scouting is so important here, and Bunny's in the dark. Now, what's concerning here for Bunny, as the Phoenix is a force back, is that he doesn't know if this is Phoenix Colossus or not. We know that this is not Phoenix Colossus. We have 5 more gateways on the way. It's Phoenix into charge lots. Oh boy. So we're going to be amassing charge lots. Marines do move out. They do catch a Phoenix. Very nicely done. Good movement here out of Bunny. Does manage to catch a Phoenix. Moves out. Fighting for control does Naga. NightMare does shade away. Does pull back. Ooh, and the medevacs are caught out. Thankfully, we do unload in time. We do barely unload. Phoenix is a force back, but we are slowing down the army, and NightMare, he's aware of the push. He's getting ready back at home. Warping in as much as he can. Now, this timing, I believe, is designed to hit. Even if there's one Colossus, we could probably break through this. Bunny is getting his third CC on location, is still pushing out. Good threat to drop into the main. Interesting. Rotating over, or opening up to the right-hand side. Knocking down those rocks. Oh, but we've waited too long. That's a lot of Zealots waiting for this army. 17 Zealots. Almost as many as there are Marines. Bunny trying to rotate around. Doesn't find an opening. NightMare is in position to deny to kind of doom drop into the main. Now, thankfully, Bunny hasn't committed. He's been dancing with death a little bit, and he does him forward. Oh, he's going to be committing. Wouldn't mind say borrow, but 2 of them get picked up. Yeah, 2 of them, they do not on borrow. The Zealots, they collapsing on top of the Marines. And we just chase down Bunny. We had a couple of mine shots going off. And so far, good kiting out of Bunny. He cleans up all the Zealots. Very nicely done. But we have more. We have more coming in. And we break through. We get on top of the Marines. Very nice target firing out of Bunny. Does focus out almost every single Phoenix. Very impressive. Bunny, though, is forced back. But shutting down and resetting that Phoenix count is huge. Now, because we only have 1 Phoenix, that means we can drop. That suddenly means that drop play is now viable for Bunny. And he kept most of his medevacs alive. Did I say most? All medevacs survived. Okay. We did preserve all of them. We have a decent bio army. Phoenix does confirm the positioning here of the army of Bunny. Does spot to moving out. As Bunny moves out, here come the Zealots. Oof. As they take a big mine to the face. Yeah, Bunny does get eyes on this. He shuts this down. Zealots are forced back. At least they buy time. NightMare back at home trying to saturate his 3rd base. Now he's getting to Robotic Spay into Colossus production, but this is quite delayed. NightMare is a little bit vulnerable right now, defending with purely Zealots. That's all he has. All we need is a couple of good mine shots. Bunny can break through. We got Bunny going for a split push. Moving out on both sides. NightMare does have quite a lot of Zealots, though. Again, 24 Zealots here for NightMare. But as we mentioned, where the Phoenixes, they were rebuilt, which means we can drop. Speaking of, we drop on the left-hand side, we distract NightMare. Ooh, a bit of an Artosis pylon gets depowered. That's 5 gateways depowered. NightMare, he has to react at some point. Warping in some Stalkers. First Colossus is on the way. Bunny doesn't commit to his drop. Does pull back. Catching the Adept. Doesn't quite get the gateway, but there we go. Barely does. And NightMare, he's trapped. He's stuck back at home, and he has no map presence whatsoever. Again, losing all those Phoenixes was huge. It wasn't just denying any kind of drop play, but allowed him to be a little bit more active, to force Bunny back. And he's just perpetually stuck at home. That final Phoenix taking another big hit. NightMare trying to establish a 4th base. Bunny rotating around, and you can see Bunny, his macro behind this is insane. He's got a 4th base on the way. Bunny, he's almost maxed out. Ghost Academy is done. We have EMPs. 4th base is denied, and NightMare is being lured out. It's being lured out into the open. No shield battery at the natural. There is a shield battery at the 3rd at least. We do have an overcharge. NightMare pushing out. see here NightMare forcing Bunny to react. Takes another mine to the face. Ay, ay, ay. Still only one Colossi, but we have a second on the way. Bunny rotating around. I do like this. Bunny, like, there's no pressure. There's no rush to just push into the third. May as well just knight the fourth base over and over again. Zealots, they collapse in. Big EMP on the Zealots. And the Zealots, they melt. They get annihilated. We're stepping on forward. We're diving on top of the Colossi. And they are so low. Vikings, they have arrived. Good target firing out of Bunny. He shuts it down completely. Stepping on forward. Collapsing on top of the Colossi. They bring down every single one. And NightMare has been broken. GG gets called. Bunny takes game number 1. Whew. GG. Happy. GG, well played. Bunny does take the first game here, and things, oh, that was a pretty interesting game. Bunny with very limited scouting information. All he knew was a Stargate opener. That's all he knew. He knew that Phoenixes were amassing, and he decided to go for a very, very early, very strong stim push. Remember, he rushed into stim, rushed into combat shields as early as he could with his 3-1-1 setup, did delay his third base, and yeah, he didn't rush into it either, which is what I appreciated. He didn't just like ape up the ramp and push into the third. It was slow and steady there for Bunny, as he was able to take a good fight, reset the Phoenix count, and maintain momentum from there. Solid game there from Bunny, and now he finds himself up 1-0. And as a reminder, these are qualifying matches, and they're best of 3s, which is brutal, to be honest. It is brutal here that these are merely best of 3s, not best of 5s. It's all on the line, and the pressure is on NightMare. Pressure is on. Let's go. Game number 2 going to be on Site Delta. Let's go. Here we go. Spawning in the top left-hand corner of Site Delta, we have our South Korean Terran player, the Red Terran, representing his new team, Team Falcons. It is Bunny. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the Blue Protoss, down in this series. He needs to fight back here and now to force the ace match. It is NightMare. Not gonna lie, every time I introduce Bunny, I have to look over and read the name of his team. Now, to be fair, it's still like a relatively new team, and I haven't been casting too much of Bunny as of late, so I'll get it down. I think for me, it's a little bit difficult because Na'Vi has been around for a long time, and Na'Vi even used to have a StarCraft team, so it's easy to remember for me. Like Cloud9 as well, like I'm a little bit more familiar with. I'll be honest, I'm not familiar with Team Falcons. I don't know if they're like a Dota team or a League of Legends team or CSGO or maybe all of the above. I'm not up to date when it comes to like modern esports teams that are out there. Like, yeah, if you're not a team that's specifically StarCraft related or that was like, you know, active back in like 2016 or 2014, maybe that's a better comparison. I don't know these teams. I'm old, Poppy. I'm a boomer. Who is this, like 100 ninjas in pajamas? Like, I don't know, Poppy. Unless they invest in StarCraft, I don't know. So yeah, I'll try to nail down and drill into my mind Team Falcons. The other one is Gaiman Gladiators. That's the other one that I have to drill into my mind for Shin. I'll get him down. I'll get him down. Here we go. NightMare's best matchup is versus Dreams. He tends to ruin them. Oh, but Dream is retired. True. Aye. Smoge as well. Like, I was a big Dream fan. Oh, maybe not a massive Dream fan, but I did appreciate him. I still remember when Dream was on SKT, when he was like a rookie up and comer as well. Back in the day, back in Heart of the Swarm. He was kind of like the next Terran rising star, and he was looking promising. He was a very promising player. Feels bad, man. Dream is one of the many that, like, he didn't announce his retirement. You know, he's not like Tasia, like announcing like 5, 6, 7 retirements and coming back. Like Dream, he just kind of drifted off. Feels bad, man. Just disappeared. He went to sleep, Bob. Went to bed. Sweet dreams. No more dreams, only nightmares. Oh no. I do miss him. Regardless, we are settling into game number 2. This time, NightMare going for a very different build, is going for a Twilight Council into Blink, not a Stargate, not this time. I do appreciate this. Stargate builds can be quite risky and a little bit vulnerable. As we saw in the previous game, these committed bio pushes can really punish Stargate builds and Phoenixes, just because Phoenixes struggle against that. Because, I mean, sure, they can CC and crowd control tanks and these key big units, that's true, but against Mass Marine, they do struggle and they're more of a liability at times, as we saw in that last game. So NightMare being a little bit more secure, going for Blink. And how many gateways? We have 1 gateway in the main, we have 2 gateways in the natural. It's going to be 3 gate Blink from NightMare. Quite an assertive style here from our Protoss player. This will give NightMare map control. He can apply pressure to Bunny, force him back, and expand behind this. This is not an all-in, but quite aggressive nonetheless. We're going for extra warp-ins. Meanwhile, across map, Bunny did get into his 1-1-1, and this time going for a much more standard Widow Mine drop. Now, the purpose of this mine drop, especially post-nerf as well, we're not looking for damage. We're not looking for any kind of kills here. Ooh, as Bunny does pull back upon seeing that Adept. Interesting. But the purpose is for scouting information. It's just to get into the main base, get an eye on the tech, get a read on what's going on. Hellion is going to poke its head here towards that natural. Blink is revealed. There we go. Blink is revealed. Now we know what's going on. Interesting. We do have the medevac rotating over towards the right-hand side instead. And we should be getting ready for tank production. Interesting. So, once again, a big prioritization of stim. Okay. So in a standard TVP, we would usually have an add-on swap to get the factory on that tech lab to start tank production, to be safe against Blink Stalkers. Bunny once again taking a risk, delaying tank production or skipping it entirely to rush into stim instead. Meanwhile, here comes the mine drop. Mine drop into the natural. So far, only getting 1 probe kill, 2 probes go down. Nothing big. Medevac gets targeted, and NightMare does defend. So far, a clean or solid defense here from NightMare. Bleeding out only 2 probes. Now we're going to be pushing. As a reminder, as we move out, we're expanding, taking a 3rd base, and we're taking up into Charge and Storm. So quite a gateway heavy composition coming out from NightMare. Getting into Charge with the Storm. Across the map, Bunny still amassing his army. Amassing his Marines and Marauders, going for a double drop on the right-hand side. NightMare has not spotted this, by the way. He did not see, did not scout. NightMare just now getting high ground vision with the Observer. And he will confirm the build, will confirm the upgrades. Now is aware that a bio army is coming, as he gets eyes on stim and combat shields. Hellion gets sniped. Stalkers trading with the Marines, solid trade. Drop comes in. And we do hit the 3rd base, and we can deny mining at least. NightMare is racing back home, trading with the army, picking off Marauders as well. Big pickoffs. Very good trade here by NightMare, but he will lose the 3rd. And was this worth it? 3rd base is going to go down. He was able to pick off a medevac. Well, that was the medevac earlier. 2 Marauders, 9 Marines. Again, a good trade from NightMare, but I wouldn't say that was worth a 3rd base. He's looking for more damage. Delays the 3rd CC. Does force it to be built in the main. Mine just not quite going up. The pickoffs there by NightMare. Ooh, and Storm is done, by the way. NightMare, calm down. Looks like he wanted to go for a Storm drop. Does pull back for the time being. Again, this is a very expensive Warp Prism. 3 High Templar within it. Each with at least 1 Storm. Yeah, he pulls back. Does end up pulling back, getting his third base, slowly up and running. Likewise, so is Bunny. Yeah, I would give the edge to Bunny at the moment. First third base pickup. Scans ahead of time, spots the High Templar, should be aware of Storm. But he does not have Ghost, does not have EMPs, not yet. Goes with High Templar. Doesn't quite focus down. Good juggling there by NightMare. Does save it, and here come the Storms. Good dodges here by Bunny. Does dodge most of the Storm, collapses on the army. Sims on 40, he's going for the Stalkers. And can he break through? Zellslave warp in just in time. We have one more Storm. Forcing a bit of friendly fire. And it looks like NightMare he will hold. Does barely hold on, but he lost 4 High Templar and the Prism. Ah, that was brutal. Prism went down, 4 High Templar as well. That was an expensive loss for NightMare, and NightMare, he's up against the wall. He's in trouble. Bunny pushing in. And we're about to have one more Storm. Good target firing at a NightMare. Let's get him out of back. Avoids the Widow Mines. Oh. Storm zoning Bunny back. He released one more Storm, soon to be 2. Reinforcements have arrived, and again, Bunny, he's so close to breaking NightMare, by the way. Bunny, he's up in workers, up in saturation, has a large army supply, takes down the Observer. Good dodge once again on the Storm. Does avoid it, no more Storms left. We're down to a handful of Marauders. They need support, by the way. They can't do this on their own. Archon's morph in. And Bunny, he catches out the Archons. Gets one at least. But it looks like we've overextended. And Bunny, stuck around too long, bleeds out quite a lot there. And NightMare holds. Whew, just barely. NightMare, he holds, Bobby. Yeah, +1 on the way. Plenty more High Templar as well. We have 2 here at the natural, 2 at the third. NightMare, he is holding on behind this Bunny, taking up even further. There's that Ghost Academy, taking gases to allow for some Ghost production. 4 CC on the way. Bunny may not have killed NightMare, but he's still in a good position. A lot of this will come down to the spellcasters, though. Again, how do they compare to each other? How do we trade? How do we engage? What hits first, the Storm or the EMP? Bearing in mind as well that NightMare he doesn't have the freedom to tech up into Colossus, into Disruptors, and diversify his splash damage. Doesn't have the economy, doesn't have the gas for it, not yet. Remember, he's just now saturating his third, because his third was killed earlier. So NightMare needs time. Does need time right now. As his main army has been spotted by the Marine. Bunny knows. He could try to dive in, but there's a High Templar waiting. There's a High Templar on the high ground. We do go for the Storm. And a good split there at a Bunny. Does avoid the Storm for the most part, but NightMare wants to hunt this down. Oh, the flanking Storms. He wants it. Leaps on forward. Gets some Marines. Gets a Marauder as well. And Bunny, he should be able to escape. As I say that, NightMare trying to cut the army off. At the same time, here comes the drop towards the south. Widow Mines. They do borrow, and a late reaction. Ooh, 3 probes. That could have been so much worse. 3 probes go down. NightMare, he does hold. Ooh, shuts down the medevac. Does shut down the medevac, and Bunny is forced all the way back. Meanwhile, as Bunny rotates towards the center, NightMare pushing forward towards the north. The armies are missing each other a little bit here. Things could get a little bit awkward. So NightMare does finally push out. Quick reaction at Bunny, saves the SCVs, does pull back in time. Nice EMP on the Zealots. Oh, he gets every single one. EMPs that Prism as well. He wants a Prism. Oh, does dive on it. High Templar, they have to evacuate. The Prism is going to go down. Barely does survive. Forcing out the Storms. But NightMare, he's up against the wall. He's being hunted down. Bunny, he has too much momentum. And we just have some storms. Good feedbacks. Making the best out of a bad situation. Feedbacking whatever he can. How many High Templar does he have in total? 8 High Templar. Ooh, some brutal EMPs. We still have 4 storms available. Good storm on the right-hand side. Does connect with the bio. And remember, we have 4 High Templar here on the high ground. I should say 4 High Templar with energy, 1 without. Colossus has finally arrived. Making 2 Colossi at a time. We collapse on the army. Decent storms. Yeah, decent storms. Zone back Bunny. NightMare doing whatever he can, but it's still a numbers game. And there's only so much the storm can do. Only so much. Behind this, Bunny is fully saturated on 4 bases. NightMare just now getting his own 4th up and running. Without Miracle Storms, NightMare, he won't be able to hold on. Bunny, though, pulling back. Gathering up reinforcements. We still have quite a bit of energy available here for NightMare. 2nd and 3rd Colossus do arrive. Good concave. Do dive on the army. So far, a much better start here for NightMare, forcing Bunny back. And the ghosts are exposed. We get 1, we get 2, we get 3. A lot of ghosts going down. Vikings, they get thrown away as well. Bunny being forced back home. Pushing into a concave is still a tough ask, though. NightMare has to be careful. Still has to respect those EMPs. High Templar, they all come forward. Bunny's going in. Ooh, solid feedbacks. Does feedback every single ghost. Papi. Oh my god. Feedbacks all the ghosts, not a single EMP. And we deny the 3rd base. NightMare, he's bouncing back. He was down like 40 supply, by the way. And he is bouncing back, forcing the CC to be lifted. Voids are being pulled. How many storms do we have left? Ooh, 1 High Templar. The 1 High Templar with a storm. Looking a bit exposed. Does leave the charge. There's a storm on the army. It's very softened up, very battered, very bruised. Vikings are coming in. But NightMare, can he break through? The Colossi are going to go down. Yeah, just barely. The Colossus are falling. Bunny's holding. He's holding on, bearing in mind that Bunny has a 5th here towards the north. Yeah, lost the 3rd, but he does have another base up and running. But Bunny didn't realize how many SCVs he lost at the 3rd base. He's down to 44 workers. What happened? Oh my god. So many SCVs went down. I assume that Bunny had evacuated towards the 5th base, but it looks like the Archon push here at the 3rd base did so much damage. And NightMare is taking his own 5th. And suddenly, for the past couple of minutes, for the past like 5 minutes here in this game at least, NightMare, he was up against the wall. He was barely holding on. NightMare, he was barely surviving. And now, NightMare, he's back in this. How many disruptors? 4. That's a lot of Novas. Big storm on the... Oh my god! Massive storms, and we stand in it! We stand in the storms, not like this. GG gets pulled! Buddy! No! Oh my god! GG, massive storms, and Bunny, his army just melts, and NightMare fights back. GG, oh my god. That was insane. That was disgusting. Bunny, 2 storms to the face, and his army just got deleted. That was brutal. And not just that, but again, in the lead up here to that final fight, Bunny had so much momentum on his side, but NightMare did a great job at preserving those High Templar, right? Something that we should praise here is that NightMare, who is keeping his High Templar split between his natural, between his 3rd, and sure, we would get a couple of EMPs here and there, but he was so secure when it came to his positioning of his High Templar to make sure that he always had a storm available. Because he always had at least 1 or 2 storms, Bunny, he had a very hard time engaging, pushing up these ramps, pushing into the main army, and eventually NightMare could counterattack And I feel like a highlight moment for NightMare in his push, in his counterattack, was the feedbacks, right? There was so many solid feedbacks there from NightMare, able to catch the Ghost before they could EMP, and without that, there was no way to counteract the storms that NightMare had, and with that, GG. We're going to the ace match. We're going all the way to game number 3. Let's go. Let's go, Bob. It would have been the biggest team. Showtime plus Hero Marine would have had the best posture in World Team League. True. The problem is they needed a third. They needed a third player. Showtime, Hero Marine, and one third player. Maybe they can like draft Battle B or something. Would have been amazing. The dream team. But speaking of dreams, it's turning into a nightmare here for Bunny. Gonna be dropping that last game, and that's a brutal game to lose as well, because Bunny, he was looking so solid, just pulling NightMare apart initially, able to take an economic lead, able to deny the third base. There was so much going right for Bunny, but in the end, NightMare, he weathered the storm, and now we find ourselves in the ace match on Oceanborn. Let's go. Here we go. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Oceanborn, we have our South Korean Terran player, the Red Terran, representing his new team, Team Falcons. Being forced into the ace match. Can he bounce back? Oh my god, sending out a couple of SCVs quite early on. It is Bunny. Let's go. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Protoss player, the blue Protoss, representing himself, currently teamless, but forcing the ace match. It is NightMare. And Bunny is rocking up with the Proxy Racks. And not just one, by the way, that is a second SCV moving out across the map as we speak. Bunny going to be a little bit more committed here with his opener, with his proxy. Let's go. The cheese has arrived. And this does make sense a little bit in my mind, especially after game number 2. If Bunny's a little bit frustrated with that game, he's like, let's just send it, Bobby. You know, the adrenaline is pumping. May as well make use of it. We're going for the proxy 2 racks. Now, thankfully, NightMare is going for a probe scout. With this probe scout, he will confirm, hold up, where's the racks? The racks is missing, nowhere to be found. Now, NightMare, he first has to check deeper within the main. There we go, he does check the corner, just because it is not uncommon for Terran players to fake a proxy and go for the racks here hidden in the main base. So we have to check the main base first. Likewise, you have to check the natural. Likewise, it's not uncommon for Terran players to hide their racks at the natural or even at the third base location. So NightMare, he's just making sure. Behind this, he's playing it safe. We do have a Zealot on the way with this gateway. Usually you would skip the Zealots, but because there could be a proxy, we are committing. And this is not 2 racks Reaper, by the way. Oh my god, it's 2 racks Marauder. Cure, is that you? Papi, let's go. Okay, so concussive shells being researched, tech labs are done, and Marauders are on the way. Meanwhile, looking at the units tab, the Zealot has arrived. Waiting here on the high ground, and we do scouts, we do confirm. Big moment there for NightMare. Does get eyes on the proxy racks. Is aware of what's going on. Shield batteries already on the way. We're going for a second gateway. So far, good reactions out of NightMare. He has the high ground. But Bunny is going for the racks on the low ground instead, looking to contain his opponent to 1 base. Now, this means that Bunny doesn't have to force the issue. Doesn't have to force his way up into the ramp. He can expand back at home. And just contain his opponent. SCV barely does survive. Ooh, Bunny taking a lot of hits. He's trying to buy time. The bunker, it looks like it will barely finish in time. NightMare did kill the SCV. But only one. The other is going to be able to repair. And we are containing NightMare to 1 base. Now, this could trigger a 1 base all in. NightMare, he is going for a Robo behind this. With this, we can go for a Warp Prism and get across the map. We can go for an Immortal first to break out. Meanwhile, the Marauders, they do stem off the ramp. They do go for the Gateway. The Gateway? The Stalker, I mean. They'd have on the Stalker, but the overcharge a little bit too good. The Stalker refuses to die. Jeez, the overcharge. Yeah, nothing does die here. We focus on the Marauders instead. 1, 2 Marauders go down. Did I say 2? I'm going to say 4 Marauders. GG gets caught. Bunny tries to force it. Not like this. He tries to force his way up the ramp, but he does fail. GG gets called, and NightMare will qualify for GSL. GG. Aye, Bunny. You have to respect the overcharge, Papi. I assumed it would just be trying to contain and expand behind it, but no. Bunny, he went for it instead. He gambled a little bit there, and unfortunately, he wasn't able to break through. Again, the overcharge was able to out-heal the damage output of all those Marauders. Even against Stalkers, Marauders, they could not do enough. They could not break through. Congratulations to NightMare, and my condolences to Bunny. Congratulations, NightMare, despite being teamless, by the way. I mentioned this before. NightMare, he is such an amazing player. We've seen him take down Clem. We've seen him take down Bjorn as of recently, over the past couple of months. His Protoss vs. Terran is insane. Even in his PvP, we've seen NightMare take down Hero and Classic and all the other top Protosses in Korea. And NightMare's still teamless. Just saying. So, hopefully that does change in the future. Hopefully, his performance is able to get the eye of a team. I'm sure it will, and I do wish him the best. Congratulations here to NightMare. My condolences to Bunny. Bunny, he is going to be eliminated here from the GSL qualifiers from round 1. What I will say is that if you're a fan of Bunny, I believe he will have a second chance. What I mean by that is that players that make it into these qualifying matches and that don't qualify, they are going to be seeded into a second bracket after the first one finishes. It's kind of like a last chance qualifier where all the failed players that got knocked out of these qualifying matches are all going to be invited in. They're all going to be playing out a second bracket amongst themselves to fight for those final qualifying spots. So Bunny gets knocked out of round 1, but he is invited into round 2. So he will have another chance. And we're going to be casting that in a couple of days. As a reminder, we're casting 6 best of 3s here tonight. We're going to be casting the other 6. We're going to be casting round 2 in a couple of days.